It started on a Monday morning. Emily woke up with a strange feeling in her head, a dull, heavy pain right behind her eyes. At first, she thought it was nothing. "Maybe I didn't sleep well," she whispered to herself. She got out of bed, brushed her teeth, and made some coffee. The smell filled the kitchen, warm and familiar. But the pain didn't go away. By the time she sat at her desk to start work, it was worse. Her job as a graphic designer kept her in front of a screen all day. Emails, deadlines, and constant notifications filled her morning. She rubbed her temples and sighed. "I just need more coffee," she told herself again. Her friend Lisa called during lunch. "Hey, Em. You sound tired. Everything okay?" Emily forced a small laugh. "Just a little headache." "It's nothing." Lisa frowned on the other side of the call. "You've been working non-stop. You need to rest." "I can't. I have 3 projects due this week." "Emily," Lisa said gently, "you can't pour from an empty cup." Emily smiled, but her eyes hurt even when she blinked. That night, the pain was still there. She tried to ignore it, hoping it would disappear after a hot shower and some sleep. But at 2 a.m., she woke up again. The pain was sharper now, like something pressing inside her head. She sat up in bed, breathing slowly, trying not to panic. "Why won't it stop?" she whispered. In the morning, she looked pale. Her reflection in the mirror scared her. Dark circles, tired eyes, no energy. She called Lisa again. "It's still there. I can't focus. I feel like my head is on fire." Lisa didn't hesitate. "You need to see a doctor, Em. Today." Emily nodded. She was scared, but also tired of pretending she was fine. At the clinic, the waiting room smelled like disinfectant and quiet anxiety. She filled out the forms, her hands slightly shaking. When the nurse called her name, Emily felt her heart race. Inside the doctor's office, a kind-looking man smiled. "Hi, Emily. What brings you in today?" She tried to explain. "It's my head. It's been hurting for days. Nothing helps, not coffee, not rest, nothing." The doctor nodded and took notes. "Can you describe the pain?" "It's heavy. Sometimes sharp. Sometimes it feels like pressure." "Have you been sleeping well?" Emily looked down. "Not really. I work a lot. Late nights, early mornings." He nodded again. "Any stress lately?" Emily laughed softly. "Only every day." The doctor smiled kindly. "It could be tension headaches. Stress can do that. But let's check your blood pressure and run some tests to be sure." Emily nodded again, trying to hide her fear. After the checkup, she sat in the hallway, waiting for the results. Her phone buzzed, another email, another deadline. For the first time, she didn't open it. She just stared at the screen, thinking, what if my body is trying to tell me something? When the doctor came back, he said, "Good news, Emily. Everything looks normal physically. But your body is tired. You need rest, real rest." Emily smiled weakly. "Rest? I forgot what that feels like." He leaned forward. "Your mind and body are connected. You can't heal one without the other." Those words stayed with her. On her way home, Emily looked out the car window. The city lights blurred into colors, yellow, white, red, like a painting in motion. She thought about her life, work, coffee, deadlines, stress. When was the last time she did something just for herself? She couldn't remember. That night, instead of opening her laptop, she lit a candle and sat quietly. The pain was still there, but softer somehow, like it was listening. She whispered, "I'll try to slow down. I promise." For the first time in days, she slept peacefully. The next morning, Emily woke up feeling a little better, or maybe just hopeful. The pain was still there, but she finally had a plan. She was going to see a specialist. She put on her favorite blue sweater, tied her hair in a loose bun, and grabbed a bottle of water. "Okay, Emily," she said to herself in the mirror. "Let's fix this." The clinic was bright and calm, with soft music playing in the background. She checked in at the front desk. "Hi, my name is Emily Clark. I have an appointment at 10. The receptionist smiled. "Of course. Please have a seat. The doctor will see you soon." Emily sat down and opened her phone, but for once she didn't scroll through emails. She looked around, a mother with her child, an old man reading a newspaper, a nurse walking quickly with a clipboard. Everyone here had their own story. She wondered what hers would be. A few minutes later, the nurse called her name. "Emily Clark." "Yes, that's me." "Follow me, please." They walked down a quiet hallway. The nurse was friendly. "So, what brings you in today?" Emily smiled nervously. "A terrible headache. It's been a week." The nurse nodded with understanding. "That sounds rough. Let's check your blood pressure and temperature first." After the quick tests, the nurse said, "The doctor will be right with you." Emily sat on the chair, staring at the posters on the wall. "Drink more water. Get 8 hours of sleep. Take care of your mental health." She whispered to herself, "I guess I've been ignoring all of that." Then the door opened, and a woman with kind eyes walked in. "Hi, Emily. I'm Dr. Thompson. How are you feeling today?" Emily laughed softly. "Honestly, miserable." The doctor smiled gently. "Let's see what's going on." Dr. Thompson asked her to describe the pain, when it started, what it felt like, what made it worse. Emily tried to remember. "It started on Monday. It's like pressure behind my eyes. Sometimes sharp, sometimes just heavy. I tried sleeping, coffee, even painkillers. Nothing helps." The doctor nodded and took notes. "Do you spend a lot of time in front of screens?" Emily sighed. "I'm a graphic designer. So, yes. My laptop and I are basically best friends." Dr. Thompson chuckled. "I see. How about your sleep schedule?" Emily looked away. "What sleep schedule?" The doctor smiled knowingly. "I thought so. How's your stress level these days?" Emily raised her eyebrows. "Through the roof." "All right," Dr. Thompson said, still calm. "It sounds like you might have tension headaches. They're common, but they can be very painful." Emily frowned. "So, it's just stress." "Not just stress," the doctor said seriously. "Stress affects everything, your muscles, your sleep, even your digestion. When your body is tense all the time, it sends signals, like pain, to make you slow down." Emily sat back, thinking. "So my body is basically yelling at me?" "Exactly," the doctor said with a smile. "It's saying, 'Please, Emily, give me a break.'" Emily laughed. "I guess I haven't been listening." Dr. Thompson printed a small sheet of paper. "Here's what I want you to do. Drink more water. Take short breaks every hour. Go outside, even for 10 minutes. Try to sleep at least 7 hours. And, this one's important, do one thing you enjoy every day." Emily took the paper and looked at it like it was a secret map. "I can do that," she said softly. "Good," the doctor replied. "And if the pain doesn't go away in a week, come back. But I have a feeling this is your body asking for kindness." When Emily left the office, she felt lighter. Not healed yet, but understood. Outside, the air was cool and fresh. She took a deep breath. The city was busy, as always, cars, people, noise. But she noticed something she hadn't in a long time: birds singing on a wire. "Maybe the world's been trying to talk to me too," she thought. She stopped by a coffee shop on her way home. Instead of ordering her usual double espresso, she asked for herbal tea. The barista smiled. "Trying something new?" Emily laughed. "Yeah, trying to take care of myself for once." That night, she followed the doctor's advice. She turned off her laptop at 8 p.m., went for a walk, and watched the sunset paint the sky pink and orange. For the first time in months, she felt peaceful. As she lay in bed, the pain was still there, but softer, calmer. Maybe, she thought, healing doesn't start with medicine. Maybe it starts with listening. The next few days, Emily tried to follow the doctor's advice. She drank more water, took short breaks, and even went outside during lunch. At first, it felt strange, almost wrong, to step away from her computer in the middle of the day. But slowly, something began to change. The pain didn't disappear completely, but it softened. It was no longer screaming at her, more like whispering, "Keep going. You're doing better." On Wednesday afternoon, her friend Lisa called again. "Hey, Em. How's your head?" Emily smiled. "Still attached, but much calmer." Lisa laughed. "That's progress." "Yeah," Emily said. "The doctor told me to rest, drink water, and do something I enjoy." "And did you?" Emily hesitated. "Not yet. I realized. I don't even remember what I enjoy anymore." There was a pause on the line. Lisa said softly, "Then maybe that's where you should start." That night, Emily sat at her desk, not to work, just to think. Her computer screen was black, but her mind was full of images. Late nights, endless projects, forgotten weekends, and that constant buzzing in her head, not just from pain, but from pressure. Pressure to succeed. To be perfect. To keep up. She whispered, "When did I start living like this?" She opened a drawer and pulled out an old sketchbook. It was covered in dust, but when she opened it, the pages were full of color. Drawings of sunsets, city streets, faces of strangers she'd once imagined. She smiled. "Wow. I used to love this." Without thinking, she picked up a pencil and began to draw. At first, her hand felt stiff. But then, something clicked. Lines turned into shapes, shapes into memories. The quiet hum of her pencil on paper felt peaceful, almost healing. An hour passed without her noticing. When she finally looked up, her head didn't hurt. Not even a little. She laughed softly. "Guess I just needed to remember who I am." The next morning, she woke up early, before her alarm. Sunlight slipped through the blinds. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel heavy or tired. She made breakfast, real breakfast, not just coffee and a protein bar. Toast, eggs, and orange juice. It felt like a small celebration. When she sat down at her desk, she looked at her work differently. It wasn't something to fight with, it was something she could create. She opened her email, took a deep breath, and replied to one of her clients. "Hi Sarah, I'll need an extra day to finish your project. I want to make sure it's perfect." Her hands trembled for a second. She had never written that before. But instead of fear, she felt power, calm, quiet confidence. During lunch, she went for a walk in the park near her apartment. Kids were playing, a couple walked their dog, and an old man was feeding pigeons. Everything looked simple and beautiful. Emily smiled and said to herself, "The world didn't fall apart because I took a break." She sat on a bench and closed her eyes. The sound of leaves moving in the wind reminded her of the doctor's words. Your mind and body are connected. Maybe her headache wasn't an illness to cure. Maybe it was a message. A reminder to slow down, to breathe, to live. That evening, she called Lisa again. "You were right," Emily said. Lisa laughed. "About what?" "About needing to rest. I think I finally get it." Lisa smiled through the phone. "You sound like yourself again." Emily looked at the drawing on her desk. "Maybe I'm finally finding myself again." That night, Emily wrote in her journal, "I used to think being busy meant being successful. But maybe success is waking up without pain. Maybe it's having time to draw, to laugh, to breathe." As she put down her pen, she felt something inside her shift, not her body this time, but her heart. The pain had taught her something no doctor could. Healing wasn't just about medicine or rest. It was about listening, really listening, to what her life was trying to say. And for the first time, she was ready to listen. The next week felt different. Emily woke up before her alarm every morning. No headache, no rush, just quiet. She opened her window, let the fresh air in, and smiled. The city was already alive. Cars, voices, sunlight bouncing off buildings. But this time, she didn't feel trapped in the noise. She felt part of it. After breakfast, she tied her sneakers and went outside. "I'm not running late," she laughed. "I'm just running." Her first jog was short, just around the block, but it felt amazing. Her heart was beating fast. Her body felt alive. And when she stopped, she realized something magical. Her head didn't hurt. At work, she kept her new routine. Every hour, she stood up, stretched, drank water, and looked out the window. Her co-workers noticed. "Wow, Emily, you look different," one said. Emily smiled. "It's called peace. You should try it." She also started keeping a small notebook, a gratitude journal. Every evening, she wrote 3 things she was thankful for. Sometimes it was big things, no headache today. Sometimes small, the smell of coffee, a good song, a call from Lisa. It made her realize how many beautiful moments she used to miss. One evening, she met Lisa at their favorite cafe. Lisa smiled the moment she saw her. "You're glowing." Emily laughed. "That's what happens when you actually sleep." Lisa nodded. "So, how's the new you?" Emily thought for a second. "Still learning. But I'm not fighting life anymore. I'm listening to it." They talked for hours about everything: work, dreams, travel plans. For the first time in years, Emily didn't check her phone once. That night, When she got home, she stood by her window, watching the city lights. A week ago, those lights made her feel small and tired. Now, they felt beautiful, like stars that belonged to her too. She whispered to herself, "I used to chase success. Now I chase balance." Emily knew she wasn't fixed. She still had stress, deadlines, and busy days. But now, she had something stronger: awareness. She knew when to pause, when to breathe, when to say no. As she turned off the lights and got ready for bed, she smiled again. Her headache had been a warning, but also a gift. It had forced her to stop and start over, to build a life that didn't just look good, but felt good. And deep down, she knew, this was only the beginning. It had been 3 weeks since Emily's last headache. Sometimes she still felt tired, but now she knew when to slow down. She had learned to listen, not just to her body, but to her heart. Her mornings started with sunlight and silence. She made coffee, stretched a little, and wrote in her journal. Every day began with the same 3 words: "Thank you, life." Work was still busy, but she no longer felt like a prisoner to her laptop. She took breaks, smiled more, and even said no when she needed to. And something surprising happened. People respected her more for it. Her clients noticed that her designs were better, more creative. Her boss said, "Emily, whatever you're doing, keep doing it." She just smiled and said, "I'm finally taking care of myself." One Saturday morning, she decided to take a short trip out of the city. She packed her sketchbook, some snacks, and a small camera. The train ride was quiet, the sky bright blue. She hadn't felt this free in a long time. When she arrived at a small lakeside town, she sat on a wooden bench near the water. Waves were gently hitting the shore, and the air smelled like pine trees and peace. She opened her sketchbook and began to draw, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. A little girl passing by stopped to watch. "Wow," the girl said, "you draw so pretty." Emily smiled. "Thank you, sweetheart." "Are you an artist?" the girl asked. Emily paused, then laughed softly. "You know what? I think I am." That simple moment filled her heart with warmth. She realized she didn't need anyone else's approval to call herself an artist, or successful, or happy. She just needed to feel it. As the sun began to set, Emily closed her sketchbook and watched the sky turn orange and pink. She thought about everything that had happened: the pain, the doctor, the lessons, the change. The headache that once felt like a curse had become her teacher. It had pushed her towards something she'd been missing all along: herself. When she got home that evening, she lit her favorite candle, played soft music, and sat by the window. The city lights blinked outside like tiny stars. She whispered, "Peace isn't something you find. It's something you create, every single day." Her phone buzzed. It was Lisa. "Movie night," the message read. Emily smiled and typed back, "Only if there's popcorn." As she laughed to herself, a thought crossed her mind. The pain that wouldn't go away had finally turned into peace that wouldn't leave.